It starts with a pulse, a single trade executed in millionths of a second, then 1,000 more, a million. By the time the price even flickers on your screen, the decision has already been made, somewhere else, by something else. We still picture the market as a room full of people. Fear, greed, instinct. That market is gone. Today, most of the trading is done by machines, autonomous programs that hold a stock for milliseconds, fire thousands of orders a second, and compete on a single edge, speed. Call them the ghost algorithms. They don't sleep. They don't think the way you do. They are built to win the microsecond. Here is how the edge works. These firms pay to place their servers inside the exchange's own data center and to read the market through faster, private data feeds than the one you see. So when a large order hits, they detect its footprint and race ahead of it across every other exchange, taking the price a heartbeat before you can. Warren Buffett's longtime partner called it legalized front-running. The industry calls it latency arbitrage. Either way, the fastest machine reaches the price first. For you, it's a fraction of a cent. Multiplied across the whole market, every single day, it is a fortune, quietly transferred from the slow to the fast. And when the machines panic, they panic together. On May 6, 2010, the market collapsed almost 1,000 points and clawed it back within minutes. No news, no reason, just algorithms stampeding for the exits. They called it the flash crash. It was a warning we never really heard. Welcome to the age of the invisible order, where the faster you are, the more you take. And if you're not a machine, you're just the bait. If the market is a race, the ghost algorithms have already finished before you've even left the starting gate. But the popular story of how they do it is wrong, and the truth is stranger. They are not reading your order as it travels to the exchange. They are not picking your pocket one click at a time. They are racing each other against stale prices on public data in the millionths of a second before the rest of the market catches up. It works like this. A price moves on one exchange. For a few microseconds, the quotes on every other exchange are out of date, stale. Whoever reaches those stale prices first wins. So a handful of firms have built their entire existence around being first. Servers bolted inside the exchange's own data center, private microwave towers carrying prices between cities faster than the fiber everyone else relies on. They are not analyzing companies. They don't care whether a business is thriving or dying. They care only about the geometry of speed, the gap between a price and its own shadow. And these races are not rare. On a typical large stock, regulators counted one of these sniping races roughly every minute, about a fifth of all trading volume. The winners beat the losers by 5 to 10 millionths of a second, and just 6 firms won more than 80% of them. Each race is worth almost nothing, around half a penny, but multiply that across every market, every day, and it becomes a tax. An estimated $5 billion a year, skimmed from the system, paid not really by you, but by the large funds and pensions your future sits inside. Regulators estimate that removing it would cut the cost of trading by 17%. Michael Lewis called the market rigged. The industry calls this a myth. The hard data sits in between, and that quiet in between is where the billions change hands. The market is supposed to be an engine of growth. For the ghost algorithms, it is something simpler, an extraction point. But what happens when the machines turn on each other? The whole system rests on one fragile assumption, that liquidity is always there. When markets are calm, the ghost algorithms are everywhere, quoting, trading, keeping the engine humming. But that liquidity is a promise no one is actually required to keep. A human trader in a crisis might hesitate, wait, evaluate. An algorithm does not. Most of these firms carry no obligation to keep trading. So at the first mathematical sign of violent, irrational volatility, many are built to do one thing, pull the plug. They withdraw. And when enough of them pull back at the same instant, the liquidity they provided simply evaporates into thin air. We have already seen what that looks like. May 6, 2010. In about 30 minutes, the market fell nearly 1,000 points and briefly erased close to $1 trillion in value, then clawed most of it back before the closing bell. There was no war, no collapse, no single headline big enough to explain it. So what did explain it? Regulators pointed to one giant automated sell order, roughly $4 billion, dumped by a program told to sell at a fixed pace with no regard for price. Others said that was far too simple. Years later, a lone trader was charged with spoofing that fed the imbalance. The honest answer is the uncomfortable one. There was no single villain. A fragile market, one blunt algorithm, and hundreds of others reacting to each other faster than any human could follow, tipping into a feedback loop. The machines were reading each other's panic and selling into the void. And here's the part that should keep you up at night. The fix was not a smarter human at a switch. It was more code, automated circuit breakers that slam the market shut when it falls too fast. We built machines to stop the machines, and 5 years later, in another flash crash, even those proved not enough. This is the flaw beneath modern finance. We don't fully understand these systems, not because any single program is a mystery, but because no one can predict what happens when millions of them collide. They are a black box, even to the people who built them. When the next great crash comes, it will not be driven by human fear. It will be executed, mathematically, and far too fast for us to watch. We try to regulate them. Politicians draft laws, agencies build systems to watch the chaos. But you cannot legislate the speed of light. By the time a rule is printed on paper, the algorithms have already found a new microscopic gap in the architecture. Lawmakers move in months. The machines move in nanoseconds. The old icon of Wall Street, the loud, sweating, instinct-driven human trader, is effectively gone. As recently as the 1990s, people on trading floors handled most of the market. Today, it is almost entirely electronic. Matte black server racks humming in cold, silent data centers. And to be fair, that shift made trading cheaper and faster for almost everyone. Spreads narrowed, costs fell, but somewhere inside that progress, a different game took over. A race whose only prize is being a few millionths of a second faster than the next machine. A race that, economists argue, produces almost nothing for anyone except the racers themselves. We took a marketplace built to fund human enterprise and bent part of it into a closed loop. Machines trading with machines, harvesting a thin, relentless toll from everyone slower than they are. And that is where you come in. Not as the obvious victim, the cost of any single trade is a fraction of a cent. But the pension that holds your retirement, the index fund that holds your future, that slow, patient money is exactly what the fast machines feed on. In this system, you are no longer really a participant, you are the liquidity. Here's the part nobody likes to say out loud. This is not the unstoppable march of physics. There is a known fix. Economists have shown that changing a single rule, replacing the non-stop race with frequent batched auctions, would switch the speed war off almost entirely. We don't do it, because the handful of firms winning the race earn billions from it, and they have every reason to keep things exactly as they are. So we built the ultimate financial machine, and we handed it the keys, not because we had to, but because it stayed profitable to look away. They are the ghosts in the machine, and increasingly, the machine is all that is left.